Do you like the new hat? It was a gift. I'm very proud of it. Anyway, look, enough about my hat. There are two new proposed laws which are causing problems in the UK at the moment. And I'm going to deal with both of them separately, though the source of both is the Home Secretary, Priti Patel. Now, the first is the Police Crime and Sentencing Bill, which passed its second reading successfully yesterday. And while it contains a number of laudable ideas that tighten existing rules, it also sneaks in some very worrying proposals. The first is to penalise noise. This is clauses 54, 56 and 60. And it's particularly appropriate to noise in a protest. This, frankly, is absurd, as anybody with an ounce of interest in etymology, the study of where words come from, will know that the word to protest itself is to declare, to testify, to proclaim. From two Latin words, testare, to witness, and pro, in front of, to stand in front of people. By definition, a protest involves noise. This is in fact exactly what the Protestant Reformation was about. People standing up and proclaiming, declaiming their witness testimony. Now, from this, we get the phrase, for example, to protest. I protest my innocence. And it's not until the 18th century that this word changes and takes on the meaning that it generally has today, which is about disapproving or rejecting something. But even with this new meaning, the idea of a protest still retains its original concept of testifying and proclaiming, of shouting. It's still about noise. So, to curtail the rights to assemble and to speak, this is an astonishing invasion of our freedom. It's something, actually, that even Theresa May, when she was Prime Minister, she rejected this idea. She didn't consider it acceptable when she was Prime Minister to curtail these rights. I think as a law, certainly in the draft form that it appears now, it's possibly also even unenforceable, except in a dictatorship, as the police will be left to judge when the noise generated by persons taking part is too great, and then who among those persons taking part is culpable. Clauses 57 and 58 will further restrict places where people will be able to protest legally, particularly around Parliament, exactly the place where people gravitate to protest. It is almost impossible today, as anybody will know, if you have a problem, it's almost impossible to speak to the authorities today, whether that's the authorities that manage the telephone service, that manage your mobile phone reception, that manage your internet supply, let alone the people who control our lawmaking. We are managed today through complaint centres. And this ruling will mean that our MPs will be able to blithely sit in Parliament without hearing one voice of dissent. This really is a recipe for dictatorship. Mr. Putin should be ringing up Priti Patel immediately and congratulating her for such a brilliant, ingenious plan. I mean, he's already harnessed clause 28, the old clause from the end of Mrs. Thatcher's period. He might as well steal this proposed bill as well. I promise, if this bill were written in Cyrillic and presented to be rubber stamped in the Russian Duma, it would not be out of place in today's Russia. This law has been published hurriedly and rushed through Parliament without proper scrutiny, and it seriously challenges our freedom of assembly and our freedom of association, and these things are enshrined, of course, in Articles 11 of the European Convention on Human Rights. But these freedoms are implicit in Magna Carta. So in rejecting the things of the EU, which I know is Priti Patel's ambition, she is also rejecting the fundamental freedoms which were won for us as a nation at Runnymede. Now, number two, complementing this worrying law is an amendment to the Public Order Act of 1986, which will see a new offence of causing serious annoyance or inconvenience. And this can ratchet up a 10-year prison sentence for causing annoyance or inconvenience. I mean, here we've got a law which is defined by vagueness. It goes on, this is a 300-page document with so many little laws. Damage to statues, for example, will merit a 10-year prison sentence. That's actually twice the length of a sentence for GBH, for causing actual harm. So the safety of a statue, because of this law, is more worthy than the safety of an individual. Now, I am a statue lover, but I worry deeply about where this law is taking us. A piece of marble is more important than a human being. We know that the 1986 law is no longer fit for purpose. We know this. But this law, hurriedly drafted and rushed through Parliament in the last 2 days, is not the answer. Particularly in the light of the Sarah Everard vigil, this bill leaves for me a very unpleasant taste in the mouth. We cannot ignore protest and dissent. We need to hear, in a proper functioning democracy, we need to hear a variety of voices if we are to work together. If this bill becomes law, and it looks as though it's going to, policing itself will become more difficult to do. And we want the police on our side. We want those people who have dedicated their lives to serving us in uniform, whether this be in the health service, in the ambulance service, in the police force, in the armed services. We want those people to command our respect, and this sort of law is not the way to go ahead and get that. In fact, this law will not only demonize protesters, but it will also demonize the police force. And I think the police should be standing up and saying this law is not fit for purpose. This bill is a foolish bill. But as I say, this is the first of two bills put out by the Home Secretary. This is the same Home Secretary who has difficulty with numeracy. I worry greatly. I worry greatly about about what both these two laws are going to do should they go all the way through our parliamentary system. And at the moment, I don't see very much opposition. I don't see much chance that they're going to be stopped. And how are we going to respond to this? Because we can't go out and protest. That will become illegal. I would be very, very worried, because this is the first step towards turning our country into something that I never thought it would become. And I look across at a country I know very well. I look across at Russia and I see the assault on Alexei Navalny and on people who are reasonably questioning the way that country is developing, and they are being stamped on. And I'm afraid Priti Patel is providing our authority system with the same weapons of disregard for human rights and for democracy. Now, please subscribe to my channel, leave comments. I'm sure I've said enough to generate quite a range of response. Do be kind, please, because as I say, the idea that somebody is expressing a view which you don't hold, this is an opportunity for discussion. It's not an opportunity to attack, really. And we need to hear other views if we're going to get a balanced and functioning society. So I welcome your views. Have fun.